Hello and welcome to a new special edition here on Nile TV International, covering events happening here in Egypt, across the region and around the globe. And tonight we'll be updating you with the latest in the US-Iran situation, as well as the Israel-Lebanon situation. And with us now live over the phone from Washington, D.C. is Dr. Nasser Fayyad, the professor of international law. Dr. Fayyad, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, my pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Fayyad. Now, how do you see the developments since the Americans and the Iranians reached that memorandum of understanding that, and talks will go on for 60 days to try and reach a final and comprehensive deal? How do you see things moving forward, especially if we know that it seems that every other day there is a story or a warning from this or that side? I mean, yesterday we heard the US President Donald Trump, or maybe the day before, warning that he could strike Iran again if they don't behave or don't deal in good faith. And the issue was about the Strait of Hormuz, when the Iranians were talking about, not wanting the situation regarding the Strait of Hormuz to return back to what it was before the war. And then today, and the Iranians threatening to withdraw from the negotiations. And then today we're hearing Mr. Trump insisting that the nuclear inspections were part of the deal, but the Iranians denying that. So it seems that, and of course Lebanon is in the middle. So how do you see things moving forward or not moving forward?
Well, let me first say that the fact that the letter of understanding was signed and some agreement of a general understanding was signed is a positive thing, because it diminished the tension in the region. It caused the strait to be reopened. The oil is flowing, and it's helping to diminish the risk of military action in the region.
Right.
Now, the challenge and the big problem now is in the 60 days of negotiations, because as you know, the Iranians are masters of manipulation, and they're masters of every day creating one thing or the other to prolong the negotiations. On the other hand, President Trump is not a diplomatic negotiator. Every time he escalates the situation in, continuing to threat with the returning to the military strikes and everything like that. So it is going to be challenging, and it's going to be very difficult and complicated. In my opinion, that the agreement that the United States is wishing to have may not be realistic, and the status quo that the Iranians want to go back to is not realistic too. So something in the middle probably is going to happen. But yes, there are lots of points, because this agreement, this understanding, it wasn't clearly understanding, because it kept lots of things on the open up. And even after President Trump signed the letter of understanding, he started backing up on many things, including the missiles. And he recognized that, every country has to have some, but, not necessarily that have much. So it's not clear. And I think President Trump himself understands that maybe they cannot force the Iranians to destroy all their ballistic missiles, but
Yes.
the idea is to try to put it to a limit, to an amount. Whether they will be succeeding in that or not, we will see, but I don't think the Iranians are going to accept the negotiation of the ballistic missiles, because the truth is are not included in any nuclear deals.
Right, and this is what the Iranian president said today, Mr. Pezeshkian. He did say that the ballistic missiles are not part of any understanding. So again, this is a memorandum of understanding. It's not a deal, right? I mean, it's an understanding to try and reach an understanding, correct? I mean, it's a deal to try and reach a deal. So we're not there yet, and we still have a long way to go. And you mentioned some elements that could, you know, make the situation difficult. And allow me to add also, if I may, two further elements. The Israel factor. And surely Israel is not happy about any understanding, whether, you know, it's just an understanding to reach an understanding, or a deal or no deal. I mean, Israel is not happy. Israel wants to go back to war. So there's the Israel factor. And then the other problem is that the two sides, Dr. Fayyad, I guess, want to portray themselves as the so-called winners. So, I mean, Mr. Trump doesn't want no one to tell him that this is not better than the Obama deal. And you know that the former US President, Mr. Obama, had said that he believes that the Trump deal will not be better than his. And from the other side, it's as if the Iranians, every day with their manipulation, as I mean, quote unquote manipulation, as you hinted, want to prove that they are the stronger side when it comes to negotiations. So what do you think about these elements, and how can these elements make the thing even more difficult than it is?
Well, the Israeli element is no doubt is a very important element here. The Israeli government, Netanyahu, and all the cabinet are worried that you know, the Iranians will reach an agreement with the United States, and that they will keep their influence in Lebanon and the control over Hezbollah, which is up until now the Iranians, despite all the strikes and despite all the you know, the missiles and the attacks, they are still retaining the power and the negotiation power in Lebanon, and they are using Hezbollah to further their strength in the negotiation with the United States. And this is, of course, creating lots of concerns in Israel, because they feel like, you know, they did not reach the, you know, whatever the goals that they were supposed to reach in here. Now, on the other hand, the agreement, there is no such agreement today. There is this letter of understanding between the United States and Iran to engage in negotiations, and it's not clear whether these negotiations are going to lead to something. But we had an agreement during President Obama's time. So comparing an agreement to a no agreement, of course, they having an agreement with them, having the UN inspectors on the ground was a lot better than now, because as you know, as the strike started, the UN inspectors left, and then there's no control now. We don't know anything about that. So it's too early to say whether President Trump is going to strike a better deal than Obama. For now, we had a deal. We canceled this deal. We went there and we thought that we were going to kill the mullah and the top leaders, and then the regime will collapse. It did not collapse. Attacked for 2 months, nothing happened. And the mullah, the regime is still negotiating. We want it or not, they forced this deal because President Trump understood that it's not going to happen. the way they were doing it, and it was affecting us. We need to think about this very important element of all of that is the midterm elections that approaching, and the Republicans have been under a lot of pressure and criticism, and it's causing many of them to lose their seats coming to November. That's why President Trump had no choice but to stop all that at any cost, and the cost was to sign this letter of understanding and wish for the better. Unfortunately, at this time, we can say wish for the better because, as I said, the Iranians, when it comes to negotiation, the Iranians are very powerful, and they proved that through the years, that they have the ability to manipulate and they have the ability to stall any negotiation and drag it until a better time.
Yeah,
and there were a lot of better times.
And even Mr. Trump himself has admitted that. I mean, he gave them that they are great negotiators. But are you telling us, Dr. Fayyad, that after the congressional elections in November, that and if assuming that the Republicans do hold on to the two houses of Congress, or at least one of them, that Mr. Trump will have a free hand after that in dealing with Iran? I mean, because he will not be worried about nothing, or seeing oil prices dropping from 120 plus to now 77 Brent, 73 WTI. Navigation in the Strait of Hormuz was at its biggest yesterday since the war began on February 28th. Mr. Trump wouldn't want to go back to war.
Well, wars require momentum. It is not easy every time to get a momentum to do that. What happened at that time, I don't think can be easily repeated. I don't think it's very easy for President Trump, whether the Republicans hold the Senate and the House or not, it's going to be easy for him to convince the American people that there is a necessity to go back there. We've felt it in the United States on the prices of oil and everything, and as you said, now the prices are down, the strait is open again, the tension is going down. So first of all, I don't know what is going to happen. Probably the Republicans will lose at least one. Maybe the Senate, maybe they will keep the Senate, but they will definitely lose the majority in the House. And at the last 2 years of a president, usually, and especially when he doesn't retain the Congress, the other party has so many ways to put pressure on the president. It is not only about attacking Iran. There is the appropriation, there is the budget, there are so many things that if you lose both parts of the Congress, or one of them at least, it is not easy to do it. So I don't think that this is an option at this time for President Trump. That's why I'm saying that the Iranians, through the negotiations, are very good at prolonging things. How can that be solved, and how can we get to an agreement again? It's for us to become more realistic and to give and take. President Trump probably now understands more than when he entered the war that there are things, or red flags to the Iranians too, not only to us. So there is something in the middle has to happen. Maybe he can strike a deal better than President Obama, and I hope he will, but up until now, it's an open-ended thing. It's hard to go back to war, and there's no other way but to negotiate. How long these negotiations are going to happen? I doubt it that within 60 days we may do it. In the letter of agreement, of understanding, it was stated there that the 60 days are up to extension if needed. So we may see an extension of another 30 or 60 or I don't know how long, but also President Trump under lots of pressure to strike a deal, because a no deal comparing to Obama had a deal, it's not gonna be looking good for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but the negotiations are not gonna be easy at all, and only if they can maybe lower the expectation on this side, because a deal, no matter what it is a lot better for President Trump than no deal.
Right. Dr. Fayyad, I wanted to ask you about the Lebanon-Israel situation now. Beirut and Tel Aviv are beginning a new round of talks in Washington on Tuesday. And, I mean, this is the fourth round of talks. And Lebanese President, Mr. Joseph Aoun, insists for an Israeli withdrawal, a full Israeli withdrawal from the occupied Lebanese territories. But Israel obviously wants to stay inside the places it has already occupied, at least the security points there. And this is a very important key point to the negotiations. How do you think the negotiations could move ahead?
I believe that it is very, very difficult situation for the government of Lebanon for several reasons. The first reason is because the Iranians are still controlling the situation in Lebanon. They are controlling Hezbollah. Hezbollah still has a lot of strength to fight there. And Hezbollah is much needed now during those 60 days of negotiations for Iran, because it's one of the cards that Iran is playing in the negotiations. Iran is a regional player and then is not willing to surrender this role. And the only probably power outside of Iran that they can, or strength that they can pull, is Hezbollah. So within this situation, President Aoun and the government of Lebanon have no much of power to negotiate with the Israelis. Because the Israelis are telling them simply, look, if you can disarm Hezbollah, if you can pull them from there and bring the Lebanese army there and secure the border, we will talk to you about withdrawing from Lebanon. But the Lebanese army is not able to control them. The Lebanese army wasn't and is not able to. And I would say more than that. Now there are some, talks and information about that, the Lebanese army or the government pretended that they were going there and they are cleaning the south of the Litani, but the truth is they were not. They were promising and they were saying that we are controlling areas where they didn't control, as of like conspiring with Hezbollah. They might not have conspired with them, but the problem is they didn't have the power, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the weapons, they don't have the ability to control these areas. And Hezbollah still have almost the entire Shia population that is supporting them and giving them the strength to continue doing that. So it is very, very complicated situation. I don't know how much the United States now is going to put pressure on Iran in this matter, because they are interested in striking a nuclear deal. They will give more to the Iranians in there.
Allow me to put in a final question, Dr. Fayyad. Final question. The Trump-Netanyahu relationship, how do you see it moving forward? And do you think that, Mr. Trump, having told the Israeli war crime suspect, Prime Minister, that he should not go out and bring buildings down in Beirut just because missiles fell in the Israeli desert, that Netanyahu would indeed listen to Mr. Trump?
Well, there is no doubt that Netanyahu overall has no choice but to listen to the administration, to the United States administration, to the presidents, whether this is President Trump or not, because the United States is the only country who is guaranteeing the security of Israel in the region. However, in some situations, there are some conflicts of interest between Israel and the United States.
Yes.
This is one of the biggest, maybe, conflicts at this time. But the United States-Israel relationship is way bigger and a lot more, a lot stronger than getting to a situation where there will be a divorce or something.
Right.
This is impossible to think about. It is challenging now. Netanyahu is not being vocal because he knows that he cannot contradict President Trump.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they are going to find a way to normalize this relationship again, because there is a big interest in keeping this relationship.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nasser Fayyad. As always, Dr. Fayyad is the professor of international law, speaking to us all the way from the United States. Thank you, Dr. Fayyad, very much, as always, for your time and your insight. That's an end to this special edition of news coverage here on Nile TV International. In just over 10 minutes, we'll be back with a panorama of news and a look at the latest in politics, business, and sports. So please don't go far.